Hey everyone, so you've gotten to the skinning portion of the class. I want this video to be a kind of succinct, bare bones like checklist for what you should be looking for to make sure your skinning or your rig is ready to go for skinning. We've had a few rigs that were already broken upon inspecting them, so this is just to make sure you have everything properly set up. So first of all, when you raise these legs should be pointing forward and the knee should be bending out away from it. If you raise that leg and this knee cap is bending this way, your rig is broken. You need to go back to the proxy setup and start from there. And you'll need to unbind. First you'll need to unbind your mesh, then go back to the proxy setup, adjust those proxies, regenerate the rig in a new file, and import that mesh, bind that skin to it. And we've gone over all those steps before, so you should be able to piece those together from other videos. Another thing is that this elbow, keep in mind you can't really move these controls, right? You can only rotate them when you're in FK, but this should bend forward, away from the body. If this, when you bend it out like this with this control, if it looks more something like this, where it's bent down or like up, then you have a problem. You're going to need to, again, refix the proxies. Just make sure all your hand joints are on like the knuckles. There's a lot of controls there that you could get lost in. Make sure that your spine controls are bending from the center of mass of the character there, you know. And same with the neck. This neck control right there, make sure it's bending from somewhere kind of at the base of the neck, maybe even at like one of those cervical spine vertebrae inside there. And this head joint should be rotating from the base of the head, where the head meets that spine. So it should be bending from that region in there. So that's pretty much the basics for the skeleton. Now, when you're skinning, you might notice on your hierarchy that you have something called a wrist J dummy. So if I go in here and I turn on my other joints layer and I make it not reference so I can actually click it, you might see this control, wrist J dummy. And you might see a few other things called dummy on the rig. However, you don't want to bind any skin weights to those joints. What instead you're looking for is wrist J. So you'd go through all that, the regular method, and you would bind instead to the actual joint rather than that dummy joint. I believe that dummy joint is just used for some sort of constraining or something within that rig going on under the hood. Another detail, or not a detail, just a practice that we should be participating in, is as soon as we generate those joints, I want you to turn the joints layer into reference mode, because when we're skinning, and from basically here on out, as soon as you generate those joints in the rig, you do not ever touch the joints again. You don't touch the joints. When you see me bending stuff, I'm always using these NURBS controllers here. Sometimes they're easier to see when you press 4, but if you have a control like this one, this blue one, if you have a control that you want to see kind of on the outside of your mesh, because a lot of the times when you generate the character, these controls will be sunken in, what you can do is select the control, hold right click, go into control vertex mode, and then you can scale those up. It has to be in control vertex mode, otherwise you will be messing with the object itself, and that will potentially break your rig. So be careful about that. Now, with all of those in mind, you're free to do my simple skinning method, which remember, it's just flooding to the core and then flooding to the subsequent joints down the chain, one by one. And then after you do that, lock all the controls down, except for the two that you're going to be smoothing between. Then you start smoothing, or adding when necessary. But yeah, so that's the bare minimum basics of it. I just wanted to have a succinct checklist for you guys during this section. Thank you.